Hi everyone, welcome to the Chit Chat session series organized by the Welfare Task Force for Malaysian Students Abroad. So for those who are new to the Welfare Task Force, we are actually a student-led initiative that focuses at facilitating practical responses to support Malaysian communities in countries all around the globe during this unprecedented pandemic. Our various programs include mental health and well-being initiatives, buddy schemes, and tabulation of student data all across the globe, all aimed to ensure no Malaysian student is left behind and suffer alone during this challenging and confusing period. Today, we are already on the 5th session of our Chit Chat session series, and we are very happy to have Ashley Sern together with us on Facebook Live. So Ashley, perhaps you could introduce yourself to everyone here.
Yep, so as you know, my name is Ashley. I actually did law at the University of Manchester. I graduated last year, and now I'm still at Manchester, but just finishing up my BPTC, so the bar exams at BPP Manchester.
And what is the current situation like in Manchester in terms of social distancing measures and also policies?
Actually, just about a week ago, it's funny that we're doing it now because just about a week ago, to be honest, everything seems quite normal. It was still okay and everything was easing up, and the government was saying, oh, we're gonna lift the lockdown restrictions and things like that. And then suddenly we just got like sort of surprised because the cases started to like increase and started to spike in the north of England, actually, specifically, so where Manchester is at. And then I think around last Friday, I think it was last Friday, or just very recently, basically, the government actually put us back into partial lockdown. So now actually it's becoming quite strict. I think even stricter than Malaysia, obviously, because the rule as it stands now is that nobody can actually visit someone else at their house. So no two households can be together unless you sort of form like a support bubble, which is usually for people with like childcare requirements. So it doesn't really apply to like friends. Although funnily enough, you're actually able to meet outdoors with other people, but just not indoors. I don't really understand that. But yeah. So when you meet outdoors, actually now the rules that there's a maximum of six people, and you must be socially distanced as well. So I'd say it's much stricter now than just a week ago. And in terms of other policies, there are also like compulsory mask on policies in public transports, in shops. But if I can be honest, people aren't actually adhering to it yet, which is something I hope would change. But yeah, I think that's the situation now in short.
I understand that you have been in Manchester since the very beginning of the lockdown. So is there any reason why you choose to remain in Manchester?
Interesting question. I think personally, it was never my plan to return home in the summer. But even after lockdown, I think I must admit that I was tempted because like it was a bit scary, especially when it first started. Maybe we have forgotten how it felt like at that point, but I still sort of remember like the fear, especially seeing all your friends just up and leave. A lot of my friends, they didn't even bother packing up. They just really just packed up suitcase, left, and let their accommodation managers sort of deal with their remains, with their remaining belongings, if I can put it that way. So yeah, but for me, I think it was never my plan. And even when I was tempted, I didn't really want to contribute to like the traveling because I think there are many more people really that needs to travel, that needs to be family for whatever reasons. So I didn't want to contribute to that because I didn't have like a particular need. Although I must add that it's also because I had like a very good support system here. So I think just because I'm saying that doesn't mean if you're here alone, you should still feel the need to stay here alone. I think it's because I was lucky enough to have a support system, as in like my flatmates, they were still here. So for me, I didn't feel a need to go back. If that makes sense.
And during this whole lockdown period, how have you been coping or spending your time at home?
Mm, a lot of people ask this actually, and I never really know what to answer because if I can be honest, to me, almost nothing has changed except like the physical parts of not being where I need to be. It's just that now I'm at home. But to be honest, I've still been doing the same things. And I'd say like if you were someone who hasn't experienced like doing university during lockdown and things like that, I'd say don't worry because it's been the same. And for me, I think I've been actually even busier because now you have even more opportunities. And let's say now I'm in the UK, but I can also join in on like the Malaysian opportunities. So like things like this or like how can I say? So it's not I'm not restricted by like physical boundaries anymore. So there's been even more to do, and I think it's been even more exciting, albeit for a sad reason, obviously. Not that I'm celebrating like the whole COVID thing, but yeah.
I think it's very good to know like how actually a lot of Malaysians, including yourself, you guys are like taking good care of yourself during the lockdown. Like, do you actually feel kind of worried maybe at the start of like, especially, I wouldn't say during the lockdown, but maybe now, since you said that now there's like a spike and everything, do you think they will actually affect what you are doing now, or do you think your current maybe routine will change because of that?
Okay, good question. I think definitely good question, especially in terms of the spike because it happened so recently. For me, I'm quite a careful person, so I do try to stay at home as much as I can. So in terms of me personally, I don't think what I'm doing physically changes, but mentally, I think it scared me a little bit to know that a spike happened almost like in such a short period of time, and everything just changed because one day you're thinking like, oh, we're about to be able to go out and meet my friends soon because the restrictions are going to be lifted, and the other day, the next day, they're just like, okay, everyone stay home, you're not even allowed to visit one other people. So in terms of that, yeah, it did change a little bit of my mindset, but it doesn't change what I'm doing because of like how I've been living throughout the lockdown anyway.
Are there any like yeah, you can.
No, Jason.
Okay.
Zoom
Are there,
things.
are there adequate supplies of like face masks or sanitizers? Is there like a panic rush for that, especially now since there is a second spike?
Oh, actually, there's a very good question, which I think I've just said, but I think that's a very good question because even I'm quite curious as to whether they are actually adequate supplies because I have supplies at home with my flatmates because they are like parents shipped it to us. But actually, before doing this session, I actually went out to go and have a look to see what's going on outside. So now I can bring you sort of reliable information. And the answer is yes. The short answer is yes. There are actually a lot of supplies. Whereas in the beginning of the lockdown, like in March, April-ish, they were very, very, very short on supplies. Like you literally couldn't even get hand wash, not sanitizers, just hand wash. You couldn't even get those. Whereas now it's definitely a lot in supply. And I would say not just pharmacies, even like grocery stores like Aldi, Lidl, things like that, they do supply them quite cheap, I think. Like a pack would probably be like £5 for face masks. A big sanitizer is like £3.50, which is fine. And also you can also get it on Amazon if you don't want to go out. So everything is sort of like almost back to normal. It's like deceivingly normal, I would say. But yeah, don't worry. Although I'd say that if you're coming in to Manchester at least, definitely bring supplies with you. Don't just be like, oh, I'm gonna get supplies there because you never know when they're gonna like cut, when the supply is gonna be like almost restricted. So I would say bring enough for like maybe definitely the flight journey and maybe 2 weeks because you need time to wait for your Amazon delivery to come. You need time to go out and buy. So bring something, but don't be bringing like a whole truckload of like face masks or something because we don't need that. That sort of helps.
And maybe besides, or like for example, like face masks and hand sanitizer.
Is it just me?
I think there is a lag for Yikang's side. It's okay.
No.
I proceed with the next question.
Like,
so you
okay.
can't, there's a lag in your side, so maybe you can repeat your question.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now.
Okay. So it's like besides the face mask and hand sanitizers, like, is there any other external support that you can get during your self-isolation, or maybe even now, for example, your university or even the Malaysian government? Like, is there any external support that you can get as a student in Manchester?
I think I'll be honest by saying I'm not the best person to ask that because I'm very grateful in the sense that I haven't needed external support, be it physically, mentally, or emotionally. So I wouldn't be in the best place to answer that. But in terms of my personal experience, no one I know has been to my university for support, but my university has been very like hands-on. So I'm at BPP. I'm not paid to promote them or anything, but I'm at BPP Manchester, and they've been very, very hands-on in like checking up on the students. And let's say when I miss a lesson, my lecturer actually like emailed me and be like, "Oh, are you actually okay? Like, is anything happening?" So in terms of that, I think that's the sort of first level of support. But in terms of after that, like more serious things, if I'm actually sick or something, I'm not in the best place to answer that question. I don't want to give like wrong information.
It's okay. Thank you.
We actually have a question from an audience. Is it scary, especially in the UK now, especially in your area? Just now you mentioned that people aren't following SOPs and just going out to live their normal life. So what's your view on that?
Scary wouldn't be like the right word because I don't think there's no need to be scared. Worried, maybe. I am a little bit worried at the fact that literally no one I see is like actually wearing face masks and like adhering to proper like social distancing rules. So in that sense, it makes me a bit more vigilant than actually I would need to be if everyone would just follow the rules. I'm not like calling anyone out, but that is the case, you know. You just want to go to the supermarket to get your necessities, but people are like in your face, and it feels a bit like it's just very worrying. But I think as long as you yourself adhere to the rules, keep going out to a minimum, wear your face mask, you'd be good actually. It's nothing like scary. It's not like some zombie apocalypse or something. It's not like it doesn't scare me, if that answers your question.
Yep.
Then maybe along the lines, like, would you actually encourage students, not only just prospective students, but students who actually went home to return to the UK to study like during the fall, like maybe during August or September, like, would you actually recommend them to come back or actually stay put? What are your views on this?
Good question.
Maybe based on like I think what you had said just now, like based on the current situation, and then it's not maybe that scary in that sense, like even though it's different compared to Malaysia, the SOPs are like they are really different. But then would you actually encourage them to actually come back to the university?
Before that, a good point on the Malaysian being able to like follow SOPs more. I think that's also because there's more intervention in Malaysia. So like if you sort of break rules and things like that, you're more likely to get fined. And when they fine people, they like tell everyone like, okay, we have fined someone. So people are scared. Whereas in the UK, they don't actually punish you that openly. So maybe that's why no one is afraid. But in terms of that question, I think it depends on the personal situation. And I think if you're a student wondering if you should come back to the UK to study, you should consider really a lot of factors. For instance, like when you come back, what are the changes that are at your university? I think definitely the university life is the most like the major factor. So you have to think like, is everyone also still going to university, and like are all the facilities still going to run the same? Because if they're going to be the same, I'd say come back because there's nothing much to worry about really. It's the same everywhere in the world. And I think the university experience is great. But if you're university, I think some are doing it online. You're also not missing out. I wouldn't say like, oh, don't feel sad. I think a lot of my friends, especially those graduating this year, they've been feeling really sad at the fact that they missed out on the experience, on the graduation ceremony, on like being able to go to class one last time with your classmates and things like that. And I do feel for them. I do not like understate like the sadness that you can bring because you feel like you don't end your university on a good note. But at the same time, don't feel sad about that because like graduation ceremonies and things like that, they're just like overrated. Okay, it's just a very normal thing. And you still have to feel like you still had to feel 2 years of universities, like the first 2 years to like be happy about and to enjoy. So don't feel sad. And if you're looking to come back and there's good reason for you to come back, don't feel scared. If that makes sense.
Maybe along that lines, do you have any specific advice in terms of, because you are a bar student and there are a lot of people looking to start the bar this coming September. So any advice do you have to give them? Because the bar itself, I understand that it's a quite challenging course. So any advice do you have for them?
As you rightly point out, and you yourself know as a fellow bar student yourself, the bar is a very challenging course, way more challenging than a university degree. But I would say the advice I give to prospective bar students is actually exactly the same, no matter if you're coming here for A-levels or for university degree, which is to keep an open mind really and to be like really adaptable. Have set expectations of like what to expect, ask around and figure out like, oh, what's exactly going to happen. But know back in your head, like know really clearly that what people say may never actually like happen, and just be very like prepared for change, I would say. So like have an idea of what you want out of this, what you want out of this course, what you want to achieve. But if you don't get that, it's fine because at times like this, even the best people like they're not really able to do what they want, if I can say that. So just be adaptable and be very open-minded, which is a good thing actually, because I think this can actually be turned into a positive. Because I think people who come in during these times, they actually turn out to be very much more resilient because there's so much going on other than just studies that makes you a more like resilient person, I would say.
Yeah, I think also like maybe because of COVID, we get quite a lot of new opportunities. Like we know there's like really much more virtual learning opportunities, virtual internships, which you don't really get when
Yeah.
COVID. So I think there's always like something good behind all this.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't think, I know like some of the audience, like they are really worried, like should they actually stay, should they actually leave? I think just echoing what you had said just now is like you probably will need to communicate with your family members as well, just to make sure that what are the worries or what are the kind of conditions that you are currently facing with. And if you are generally worried about Manchester, I think it's basically quite safe for and get the support. So no need to worry too much. I think the last one would be, so in case for anyone who is watching, if you have any questions, you can send in. We are going to end soon. So I think the last question here is somebody asked in specific for University of Manchester. They say, I think they're worried about, they say the university won't open in coming September until next January, and they're not sure is there any support from the university itself. So can you just like briefly tell us what is the current, are you actually, but you are not in University of Manchester, is
Oh
it?
no, yeah. Okay, I get the confusion. Although that's on me for starting off the video with saying I graduated from the University of Manchester, but that was like, last year. So I'm so sorry. I apologize for not being able to help in that sense. But what I can say is that I'm very sure that you're able to email the university and get like any information you want. Definitely don't feel shy about asking them or asking someone else who is at the university, but probably not me. I'm probably not in the best place to answer that question.
Okay, I think maybe sometimes usually the university website you also get like the information on this, so
Yeah,
maybe check that out from there.
for sure. And they're quite like hands-on now. And it's also helping people. But yeah.
We also have another question from an audience regarding loneliness, because this period, a long period of isolation at home. What are your, the question is, do you feel lonely as you can't go out to see people as often as before? Yeah.
That's so sad. Okay, but I'll answer it like really honestly. I think I definitely don't feel lonely because, as I said, I've proactively set up like sort of a nice support system, which is what I recommend everyone to do. I've even gotten closer to people who I wasn't close with at all prior to the situation, merely because of the fact that we're all still here. So I think like don't feel shy in terms of like approaching people and just like starting to build more friendships, like more meaningful connections. But personally, no, I would say no. I didn't feel like lonely, but I felt like on the slightly more negative sad side, I felt like it was sad because you don't get to like have full on like closure and say like bye to friends, like your international friends or people who are in the UK but they're going back to their hometowns, like somewhere way further away in the UK. You don't actually get to like say bye, and like in that sense, that is the sad part. But I think it's good to focus on the positive of like being able to build more meaningful connections and things like that. So yeah, the answer is no.
Right. So maybe just one final question. Any general advice you want to give to all our audience here today?
In terms of coming into the situation or like making a full use of time here, or
I think maybe
yeah,
maybe probably in general, like as in some students, I think probably will be returning students are like okay, like, I think maybe if you actually like, I think if you want, you can actually give like maybe two general advice you can give like for those who are actually remaining, because you are remaining yourself. If you have any advice you can give to them, but also to students who are actually planning to return to Manchester, is there any general advice that you like to give them?
okay, yeah, I understand the question now.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of two different, I think it's quite different. Coming into the situation and remaining in the situation is really two very, very different things. Coming into this situation, I'd say speak to people who are also coming in around the same time as you are coming in, because the rules change so quickly. Similar to how like when you're flying back to Malaysia, you need to ask your friends like, oh my God, which form do I fill? Which station do I go to? Which hotel am I going to be put in? This kind of questions. Ask people who are actually going through the same thing as you are. Try to speak to people to get to know their experience, to fully prepare yourself for what's about to come. But as I mentioned before, keep an open mind, because things can change anytime. And as long as you're adaptable, I think you're fine. There's nothing to be worried about, really. And that's coming from someone who worries about everything. So you can trust me on that. But in terms of advice for people who are still here, I hope all of you are well. Definitely same thing. Find a support system and also treat this as something positive. As also Yi-Kang rightly pointed out, there's been a lot more opportunities, even something like that. This is actually an opportunity that arose because of the situation. And it's a very good opportunity because now we like get to know more people and we get to like explore different sort of things. So I'd say view it as a positive thing, because whatever happens, it's like how we control it, how we respond to it, that actually matters the most. And there are a lot more opportunities, so definitely go for it before like things get back to normal. But yeah, that's my 2 long-winded advice.
Thank you.
Right. So thank you so much for the very useful advice. I believe it will be very useful, especially for students who are panicking and worrying about the current situation, especially. Yeah. So once again, we'd like to thank everyone tuning in to our Facebook Live, and also thank you to Ashley and also 𝗍𝗵𝗃 for being with us today. And we actually have upcoming sessions of the Chit Chat series, and the next session will be on next Monday, which is on the 10th of August. So to everyone, block your calendars, and we'll see you at our upcoming sessions. So once again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
𝗍𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗏𝗧